The sound of deer alarms. Ringing through the holler.
Yeah, 6 months of it.
So this morning, Matt and I have been in the big garden really working hard. I'm tired, are you?
Oh, yeah.
We broke to have dinner, and the girls brought the boys down, so that was nice to chat with them while we were eating. But we got all the corn plowed out and hoed. Matt plowed the rest of the garden, plowed out the potatoes. I weed eated. I forgot about that. I weed eated around our grapes and the blackberries and around the edge of the garden, except I didn't get this edge. I need to still do that. And now what are we going to do? We're going to plant some corn. We're going to plant the second planting of our corn. Usually we plant it all at one time, is the way Daddy used to do it. And last year, that's how we did it. Or you said one time you and Daddy staggered it, though.
We did stagger it one year.
But then you didn't. Most of the time he just planted it all at once.
Right.
So, but we're trying that this year, and we'll see how it goes. See if we like that or not. So we're going to plant a few more rows. I don't know how many more. We've got, what, 9 rows?
Yeah, I think there's 9 there, and we've got room to do
at least 4.
6 or 7 more, pretty easy.
At least 4 or 5, 6, something like that. So we're gonna get that done. And what else are we gonna do? We've already done a day's work, it feels like, but
I don't know, just whatever. I may come back down here and weed eat this bank. So I don't know.
we might throw out some fertilizer.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to do that. It's going to rain in a couple of days. It'd be nice to have the fertilizer on the corn and have that done.
There's one of the alarms. So that's the wind's blowing, so that's probably the potatoes in front of that one that's going off. The potatoes going back and forth.
Might lift that thing up a little higher, maybe.
Maybe
over top of the potatoes.
Lift it up. Oh, do we need to heel the potatoes again?
They could use it, yeah. I just hate the thoughts of it.
Well, now that you've plowed, would be a good time to do it because it'd be easier to scrape up. But we are excited today, though. We're going to use something. Matt is to lay off the rows for the rest of the corn we're going to plant from the 1800s. Is that right? We're going to use something from the 1800s. So exciting. And it's something even more exciting is that it's something from my family that we found.
Am I making you uncomfortable?
Mm-mm.
What about now?
No.
What about now?
I found something.
What'd you find?
That is a plow point.
Holy cow, how many times have we walked past that and not seen it?
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That is awesome.
It's in good shape.
That is awesome.
Ain't you glad you brung me?
Yes.
Aren't you glad that I stopped right here at this spot for B-roll and made y'all reverse?
That's cool. That's in good shape, too.
I was already feeling he-wrath, lonesome, whatever, for the people, my people, and here's a gift from them. A couple of years ago, Matt and Corey and I were up the creek and we found this, what do you call it?
It's just a plow point from an old, I think it's a Vulcan side hill walking plow. From what I looked up, I found the writing on the back of the plow point, looked it up, and that's what it said it was. And it was made to be used turned face down, and it was bolted to the bottom of a plow frame that hooked to a mule, but I'm going to use it in a different way.
So this is what it looks like after Matt done a little bit of work on it. You can see it is pretty still rusty and old, of course.
Yep. I drilled a couple of holes in it, and I'm going to mount that to the resistance stem on my tiller, and you make it a layoff plow out of it. See if I like that better than the wheel hoe.
Yeah. And we've never tried it before, so it may not work, and we may go back to the wheel hoe.
How would it work?
I mean, it might not work the way you want it to or whatever. I don't doubt it'll work. But one of the interesting things Matt told me when he cleaned it up, since we found it all those years ago, or a couple of years ago, we've just had it sitting on the front porch. We didn't try to clean it or do nothing to it. And so then Matt had to clean it up some to put the holes in it and all that. So rust had really accumulated on these little edges down through there. And Matt said what was so neat is when he scraped all that off, dirt fell out. So it's like the dirt, probably the last time it was ever used, the dirt that was still just pulled in there, then rust covered it up and kept it.
It kind of encapsulated it,
Yeah.
and there was just big knots and knobs of rust over however long that thing's laid there. I don't know, it would be many decades it's laid there.
Yeah, I think it was probably, my best guess is, and Matt's, that it was my grandfather Benjamin's that would have been his, and he died in the 50s.
Your great-grandfather.
Yeah, my great-grandfather, sorry, my great-grandfather. My grandfather, my papaw Wade's father, Benjamin.
Yeah, it was, we found it in real close proximity to where his old home place was. So I'm just about certain. I mean, you ain't no way of knowing for sure, but I'd say that's whose it was.
Yeah.
And that makes it even better.
And of course, in my lifetime up through there, I can never remember it being anything but woods. But Pap would tell me many stories when I would go with him up the creek about how he could remember there was a cornfield here, maybe a house there, an old stable here, but lots of areas that was planted in corn. And you can still see the remnants. The trees have grown up in the middle of where they would have planted, but you can find the piles of rocks where, just like us, they had to pile rocks every spring of the year when they started cultivating and plowing. So really, really neat and amazing to be able to use it.
So what I'm going to do is mount this thing to the resistance stem of my tiller. I drilled a couple of holes in it and drilled a couple of corresponding holes in the plow point, and I'm just going to bolt it together and then slip this back in the tiller and use that to lay off the rows of the corn. We'll see how well it works.
All right, Matt's got it on there. We're going to see if it'll work. He had to take the back wheels off to get it to sit right. Is that how you did it?
Yeah, I had to take them off because they was in the way.
In the way.
That thing. We're going to see if it works.
But they're made to easily come off.
Right.
Yeah, to put other stuff on it. Anyway, now we just got to see if it works like we hope it will.
The wheel hoe's easier.
Wheel hoe is easier, huh?
It is in this rock pile.
Oh, goodness. It was faster than the wheel hoe, but harder. At least we used it, though. That's what we wanted to do. At least Matt used it, I should say. Once you take the bar thing, that little bar that Matt put it on, what that's for is to like slow down the tiller.
Yeah.
So then once you take it off, there's no resistance.
Well, the problem is if I could, and I could probably do it, need to rig up where I can leave them wheels on.
Yeah.
Because it's pulling you away, but you're also having to chase it and hold the weight of the tiller up and try to keep it to a certain depth all the way out through the rocks out there, and it's just hard to do.
Yeah. So we ended up with 4 rows. I said, after we seen how hard it was, I was like, Matt, just do 2 more. Go out, in other words, and come back. The first 2 are kind of crooked. Daddy always said a crooked row will grow more corn, grow more of anything. The second 2 look good, though. You kind of got a better hang of it then. Well, sure went fast. Oh, that was fun. That wasn't fun for Matt, probably. You'll be dreaming tonight, Matt, and you'll be running that thing, running all over the bed, won't you?
Yeah.
What's really funny, I think, is thinking about if Pap or Benjamin or Papaw Wade, but especially Pap and Papaw Wade, because I knew them, I didn't never know Benjamin, if they could have seen you do that.
Yeah,
they would have got a big laugh, yeah. They would have. I can just see Papaw Wade's eyes twinkling. Oh, goodness. But there it is. Now we just got to plant it.
Yep.
We talked about maybe planting some field corn and letting the beans run up in it. But since we just done the 4 rows here, I think we better just plant all Silver Queen. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I think so.
Do Silver Queen. And we still got room over there if we wanted to do another row, an experimental row, and let the green beans run in it. But I guess we'll just do these 4 for Silver Queen, and that'll make us 13 rows?
Yeah,
13 rows, so that'll be good. That'd be great. All right, I'll go get the corn. Think we're done. Matt's rearming the alarms. We finally turned them off. We got so tired of hearing them. Last thing that we did was we hoed the beans here. We were going to heel the potatoes and maybe fertilize them again, but we didn't do that. We ran out of steam for today. But these beans are looking good. This is just a bush bean, like a peanut bean is what we call it. Some people call them a red bean. In these places where the seed didn't come up, we've planted a few more, but you can see they're really good all the way through here. It's just the other end of the garden where they're kind of sparse. So we replanted a few of them. Overall, the corn is looking really good. Maybe we'll make, they say knee-high by 4th of July. I think we'll make that because you can see it's already pretty tall. We planted it earlier than we usually do. So that's why it's ahead of where normally it would be with me and Matt, or even with Daddy back in the day. Of course, this other part that we planted today, it's not even come up yet. So I hope this staggering works and extends our harvest window. Farmer Tim down the road, he does that. He'll do 3 different plantings, and you can, his garden's right by the side of the road, so I can just watch it every day as I go in or out. And you can see the distinct sizes of his corn as they grow. We did go ahead and fertilize the corn today, and you can use different kinds of fertilizer. That's just up to you. You can do research about it and use different things. Like we use something that's similar to a 10-10-10. It has potash in it, and I can't remember what else. In one of our videos we shared what else was in it. But you can do your research and figure out what you want to do. Matt and I have not always fertilized things. Sporadically, I guess. Now, Daddy did when Pap was alive. He would make sure to fertilize his beans and his potatoes and his corn. But this year, we said we was going to make a better effort to do that. So we use compost. Usually, is what we use, and we've done that this year. We've used some of that fertilizer that we bought that has the potash in it, and then I think that we have some fish emulsion. We're going to use that try to on some of our stuff, and just see overall if we really make an effort to feed the garden this year, if the harvest is even better than usual. The big garden though is looking really great. And hopefully those annoying deer alarms will keep it that way. The sea of jewelweed that's growing over here on the bank is just growing by leaps and bounds. Some of it over here, this part right here, that's about waist high to me. Looks like some of it back there is a little taller. Of course, as I say that, I'm thinking, yeah, Tipper, because it's going up the bank, so that's on a steeper part of bank. But it's really pretty when it all starts blooming. Matt, that almost looks like a cherry tree. Here's a big piece of poke growing right up in the middle of it, of the jewelweed. Gradually, the trees that we had Thomas cut back, they'll start coming back too. They'll take back over. But for now, it's mostly jewelweed. You just have to pick it up.
Says who?
It says me.
You think I'm scared of you?
I do.
You do? Mm-hmm. You might be right.
I know one thing, I'm tired. I'm tired out.
Yep.
We've been going hard all day, but we got so much accomplished.
Yeah, we did.
The corn is a lot of work, but it will be so good.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, all of it's a lot of work. Growing your own food is a lot of work. Fighting the weeds and the pestilence, as Matt calls it, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But it's so rewarding when you get to eat the good food, and plus, even though it's work, we enjoy it.
Yep.
That was the first time I've weed eated this year, though, I think.
Yeah.
Makes my arm sore, makes it feel wiggly or like weak. And I have a real light weed eater. I can't use the one that Matt uses. It's too heavy. So mine's like a little battery powered one, but it works pretty good.
It does all right.
Matt cutting the trees down there along the creek. We knew it would make a big difference, but it's just every time we go down there, I can't believe what a difference it's made. How much more open it is. It's made a real difference.
You can tell how much difference it's made because the back 2 rows of corn are growing straight up instead of out toward the sun. So that was it done what we intended for it to do.
Right. Instead of growing at a slant trying to reach the sunshine. And the corn looks good overall.
Yeah.
It does, looks good.
A little rain come on that fertilizer and it'll take off.
I hope so. They say knee-high by 4th of July.
Yeah.
We have to do this maybe one more time, maybe not to the extent we did today, but then probably we'd lay it by.
The corn anyway.
The corn part, yeah, maybe. We'll see. When it comes to hoeing down there, or any kind of hoeing, of course, most people use a hoe to do it with. Did I say weeding? I'm so tired, I don't know what I'm saying. Did I say when it comes to weeding?
No, when it comes to hoeing.
When it comes to hoeing, I meant to say weeding. I knew I did something wasn't right.
When it comes to hoeing, some people use a hoe, you said.
Yeah, okay. When it comes to weeding.
That's profound.
I know, I'm really smart today, huh? When it comes to weeding, most people use a hoe, like in a big garden like that. My hoe skills are not great, so I use a combination of the hoe, and sometimes I just find it easier to use my hands. So everybody has to figure out what works best for them. Now, if I use the hoe all the time, I probably get precise with it, but sometimes I get in too big of a hurry, and then I end up hoeing down my plant that I'm trying to weed instead of the weed. So everybody just has to figure out what works best for them. And I kind of do both. I do some, and then I get tired of that, and then I do the hoe, and then I get tired of that, and I do the hand weeding.
Now, since you said that, it's fresh in your mind. You see how it is. You know how it is. It's the same thing with a weed eater when I accidentally hit your plants.
It is, yeah.
And you get mad about it.
I don't get mad.
That's the same thing.
I don't get mad about it. Because I know, and I do the same thing with a weed eater to my own flowers up here. You just get going good and don't realize that you're about to
get in a big way, as your daddy used to say.
Get in a big way, and there you go. So you got to do though. If I used a hoe all the time, it would be better. Now the hoes that we got last year, that several of you, I think, told us about. Do you remember the name of the brand, Matt, or the company, Rogue, that makes them? We got 2 of those, and they're smaller. The heads on them are smaller, the blades, and they are really handy for like that in the corn where you've got to try to be precise.
That's kind of what they're for. I think, is doing that very thing for hoeing, getting between plants and stuff, and they work real well for that.
Yeah, I like them. They have a good feel to them, and because I am bad to get over zealous, how you say that, zealous?
Zealous.
Overzealous when I'm hoeing. They work good for me because they're smaller. There's less chance that I'm going to tear something up. It was really, even though it didn't work out exactly like we wanted it to, really fun for Matt to use that old plow. That was fun.
It seemed to be fun for you. Y'all got laughed at. It'll work good. I just got to do a little more engineering and fix it to where I can use the wheels on that thing at the same time. And I can.
Yeah.
I just hadn't realized that until I was trying to use it.
Most people would practice first before they video themselves, but not us. We just go for it. We just do it and let you see how it works out. And it did work. It worked. It just pulled Matt all over the place.
That thing wallered me all over the garden.
Yeah. I said, Matt, you'll be doing that in your sleep tonight. You'll kick me out of the bed.
That old layoff plow we used to have on that old tiller, it would kind of do you the same way. I mean, you just have to about run behind it to catch it. But it was the same way. There wasn't even no wheels on that.
On that one?
They didn't even have any.
Yeah.
But I can fix this one to where, I mean, I can fix it that way. The easiest thing to do is cut the wings off that plow point, but I kind of hate to do that.
Yeah, I hate to too. I was joking down there about the funniest thing would be if Papa or Benjamin even or Pap, Daddy, could see Matt, what they would have laughed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I told Matt when we were hoeing, I said, no, actually what they would say was, especially Daddy, old son, you got it easy.
Right.
Compared to what we had it
Right.
when we were, when all you had was a mule and your strength of your body, your feet and your arms. And there wasn't no tillers or no tractors. And I've been reading, a lot of you listen along to the book about Opal, and it is so interesting to hear her talk about working in the fields, because they had a big family and they had to depend on it. Like me and Matt was talking about that today. So now we've got, 13 rows of corn planted. And that seems like a lot because it's a fairly, long rows and all that. But if you had a family of 8 kids and you was, depending on that would make it through the winter. Even if it done wonderful, it wouldn't.
No.
So then you think about the large gardens that they had to hoe, or plow or whatever, just by the sweat of their brow. My goodness, they were tough people.
Absolutely.
And
way tougher than we are.
You see those pictures, especially in western North Carolina. I'm thinking about the places like maybe in Swain County and different places. They did the same thing here in Cherokee County. There's just a lot of documentation because of when the government took the land for the park, and then when they built Fontana Lake and all that. So there's just a lot of documentation of where they come in and took photos, and you can look back through some of those and see where they grew corn. I just can't even understand how they grew it like that. But they used every piece of land they could use, and a lot of it happened to be, steep on a side of a hill or whatever. So.
Man, that'd be tough.
Oh, it would be. It would be. And then I've read accounts of like where people come in pioneer days where they went into area where they had to hewn out of the mountainside. They had to hew their garden out, just out of the roots and the brambles, and they couldn't till it up like ours is tilled up, so they would just like literally kind of poke holes and put plants in there or plant corn like that, and it grew. They grew stuff. So sometimes I like to think about that, about how they made it. They had to make it, and they made it so much simpler than we do.
Yeah.
We put all these, like I read gardening books or watch videos on YouTube or whatever, and they didn't have none of those resources. They just had what was passed down from their parents, and that's just what they did. And they just stuck a seed in the ground, and it grew, and it fed them. Seeds do really want to grow. I like to say that, but it's true. They really, really do want to grow. That's their purpose.
That's the only purpose they have is that.
Yeah. So, but amazing when you think about, like Matt said, how hard they had to work in those days. And going back to Opal, the interesting thing about her, well, everything about her is interesting. I wish I could have known her. But, is that she worked so hard like that, but like she quit school for her older 2 siblings to go off to school, and then she quit school for her younger ones to go to school. So, and why? Because she had to stay home and work in the gardens like that. She had to help, to feed them. So anyway, just so interesting, because you had to, like me and Matt's had a hard day today, but tomorrow we won't go back to the garden. But if we had acres, we'd be back in it again. And we'd still be there right now. We wouldn't be sitting up here having a popsicle.
If that was the only food we was going to get, we'd be down there till tonight. And by daylight in the morning, we'd be back down there, and every single inch of that thing would be planted in something.
Yeah.
And that's how they done.
Yeah. Such a different time. Of course, we're so blessed today. Me and Matt really love to garden, and we love the food, and it's good for our family, and we really do eat it, and we put it up, and we do all that, but we don't have to. We could go to the grocery store, and just buy canned corn or whatever. We could buy it from someone else, from a farmer's market or something. So we're so blessed to be able to do it because we really enjoy it.
And I like the idea of doing it because it was, as far as I'm concerned, that was the intention to begin with, and you're more connected to the land and your food if you grow it.
Today was a nice day to do all that, though, because we've had a little cool weather come in. That's what all this wind is about. So was it in the 40s this morning? Upper 40s? They said it was going to be.
It was about, what I saw was about 54.
About 54. But
But
today...
it's supposed to be, I think tonight in the morning is going to be dropped down in the high 40s.
Okay. But today was really nice. I got hot while we were hoeing and all that, but it wasn't the oppressive heat that usually you feel. So it was really nice, and every time the wind blew, it's like a cool wind.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the perfect day to work.
It was.
Yeah, for sure.
They ain't going to be hardly any more of this year.
No, this is
I think
probably
tomorrow's supposed to be pretty decent, and then this time of year the switch is going to flip, and it's going to be hot.
Yeah.
It's going to stay hot.
Going to heat up. The good news is, so far, our deer alarms, although maybe driving people crazy, they are working. We ain't seen no more deer tracks in the big garden.
Mm-hmm.
So they're working, and Granny seems to be working. On a day like today, when it is real windy, they go off more, I guess, because of limbs and even the potatoes down there blowing in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, so good on the deer front. Last night I was driving over through Martins Creek before I come home, and goodness, deer everywhere. Every field had 5 or 6 deer. Some went through in front of us, and there was just deer everywhere. And I was thinking, please don't eat my garden. Please don't eat nobody else's garden. Stay over there in that meadow where you're at.
There's too many deer.
Yeah, there's lots of deer. Speaking of the garden, one of our viewers, one of you, asked if we would ask this question. Have any of you, we've never heard of it, that was the answer for us, but have you ever heard of a Roseneer pea? Roseneer pea. She said her daddy talked about that, and he was from Lincoln, North Carolina, or Lincolnton, maybe Lincolnton. Anyway, but have you ever heard of a Roseneer pea? Now, we say Roseneers, that's what we call like an ear of corn. Like, we had fresh Roseneers for supper last night. Boy, I'm looking forward to that, ain't you?
Yeah, buddy.
But Roseneer pea, so I'm not sure if it was a type of pea or if it was because they planted them in the corn. That's what I'm thinking, maybe. I don't know, but we don't know. We've never even heard that. So please, in the comments, leave if you have any information about that. Please share it with her. She would love to know. There's so many things like that I wish I could go back and ask Daddy that he told me about. He told me about them, but I didn't ask all the background, all the details about it. Boy, I wish I could ask him about that plow. Not that he likely wouldn't remember it. He might though, who knows, but I doubt it. But he would have a better guess that if it was Benjamin's or not. He would have a better guess about that. That's what I'm guessing, but he would probably have a better, he might say, no, so-and-so planted that after they moved out of there or something, but we don't know that. So many little things, or we don't think about writing down or telling somebody or something like that. Just day-to-day life stuff. So in addition to working in the gardens, which we've been doing, Matt has been getting ready for deer season already, even though it's not all the way till September. Yeah, but he's been getting ready. And he had some excitement. What day was that? Yesterday?
Yesterday.
Some excitement up there. So you can talk about what you've been doing. He's rearranged his hunting plans, basically, but
yeah, I bought a new ladder tree stand and took up there, and that was an ordeal all in its own self. It took me 3 days to get that thing up there and get it up in the tree and get it fastened because it's so tall. And the tree that I went on is so big. I mean, it's probably a 36-inch diameter tree, which is a little too big, but I like a big tree just because it helps break up your outline and keeps you hid better, and I just like it. And it was in the right place and where I wanted to be, so that was the tree that I had to get on. But anyway, getting all those pieces and parts up there and then trying to get it was just...
You and Austin wrestled around till you wore yourself out one day, didn't you?
We ended up, me and him together, we tried to raise it up, I put it together up there and tried to get under it and walk it up, which you normally can, but we couldn't that one because it was so tall. And so then we got this big series of ropes and went through tree limbs and was trying to hoist it up, and then we got it in such a way that everything we did was just working against another rope. And by that point it was beginning to get dark and we was wore out, so we just had to quit and just left it hanging, suspended by 3 different ropes up there, and the bottom section, the ladder wasn't even on it. It was just hanging there, and I thought to myself, if somebody happened to come through there and see that, they'd think, what in the world are these people trying to do? But anyway, the next day I went up there by myself. He had to go back to work, and I wrestled with it, I don't know, for a couple of hours, and I finally got the thing on the tree and fastened enough to where I could climb it. And then this is one of those that it's got its own little ratchet system that you can actually secure it to the tree enough from the ground to make it safe enough to climb to where you can actually put the top straps on it. So I got all that done in the top straps, and I ended up having to carry an extension ladder all the way up this steep hill up there to it and lean it up on the tree and cut limbs, and then I ended up having to use that ladder to put the straps around the tree because it was such a big diameter tree I couldn't swing the straps around it and catch them. But anyway, I got all that done, and then I went back yesterday, did a little trimming and trimming out shooting lanes and stuff. And while I was up there, the whole time I was there, I could hear dogs running fairly distantly, but they were across the valley on the other side of the hill, on the other face of the mountain. And I could tell they were hounds just by their bawl, and that's kind of odd because we generally don't hear dogs up in there because it's just a big unpopulated big piece of ground, and nobody lives up in there, but occasionally dogs will get loose and come over in there. But anyway, I kept hearing the dogs barking, and while I was busy doing what I was doing, and then all of a sudden I heard one, and it was closer. It wasn't real close to me, but it was closer than what I'd been hearing, and it had kind of gotten an excited bark. And then all of a sudden I heard kind of a big long growl, and then I heard it again, and I instantly knew what that was. It was a bear, and it was like don't know if you've ever heard a death moan of a bear. It was similar to that, but it's just a big, long, low, guttural growl, and I heard it twice. And I heard it the first time, and I was busy working, and I heard it, and it registered with me. But the second time, I was on my knees doing something, and I stood up, and I knew what that was. Just instantly, it registered with me what it was. And it was close enough for me to hear it, which meant, you know, the thing ain't all that far away. Then I got to listening to the dogs, and then there was 2 or 3 more fell into barking, and I thought, they're going to run that thing right over me.
Right on top of you.
And they're probably fighting it, and I don't want no part of that. So I stood there quite a while, and I never heard that again, but I heard the dogs getting further away. So I figured whatever was going on, they either was going the other way with it, or lost interest and they parted ways, or whatever. But I kind of kept my eye out the whole rest of the time I was there.
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
I've never heard that, because I don't bear hunt, but I've never heard that but one or two other times in my whole life other than that, and there's no question what it was. If you hear that sound on TV and movies with bears and stuff, that's what that's the sound. You know, like on, I think it used to be Grizzly Adams. You remember that show that come on?
Yeah, Grizzly.
That bear that was on there would make that sound, and that's what that was.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of bear, but it was the same sound.
Yeah. So
it was kind of odd. It's an oddity to be to where you can hear that, and I don't want to really be that close to that.
No. And so it's certainly not bear season either.
No, it's not.
But dogs, especially hounds, if they're loose, they just find something to chase and they just chase it.
And they don't know it ain't hunting season.
they don't know. And there's no their master's not with them. They're just off on their own.
Just loose.
Yeah.
May have got loose or whatever, but there ain't no question what that was. And I've seen them off and on deer hunting before, and they kind of give you the willies a little bit. Not enough to scare me to where I'm not going to go, but I mean they can, and they generally won't hurt you, but they can.
You're right. Yeah, it's something you got to be cautious about.
But I was packing just in case.
Yeah.
And
you was at the ready when you heard that.
And I may get eaten, killed by a bear, but it won't be after I've shot everything I've got.
Should we let you share how you want to die?
I don't care.
I just thought that.
I doubt that it'll.
I doubt that people.
I doubt that you get to pick, but it would be kind of cool.
Yeah, what Matt has always told me and Corey and Katie how he wants to die. So maybe it could be. It's not funny.
I thought about that while I was up there.
I don't want Matt to die, but that could be like you could be up there.
Yeah.
So you can go ahead and tell now how Matt wants to die.
I want to be...
Which is insane if you ask me. But
well,
we all have to die. It's appointed unto man wants to die. Miss Cindy said, none of us is getting out of here alive. That's what she would say.
Yeah, that's right.
But
anyway, I want to be, 88 or 90 years old at least. And I want to be found in the woods under a dead bear that I had to fight with my knife, and I stuck it in its neck, and that's how I get found, because that would just be legendary. It'd be cool.
Yeah, you go down in the history books for sure.
But now, somebody 88 or 90 is not going to put up a whole lot of fight against a bear.
No.
But that would be cool. I saw that in a movie once and thought that's just awesome.
That's why.
But now I was 20 years old when I seen the movie.
Yeah, that's not most people's desire when they think of this. More like I'm 90. Whatever, and I go to sleep at night, and then that's it. It's mostly what people, not fighting a big smelly bear.
Well, that'd be cool though. I mean, you'd be old and you're done, and you'd get your adrenaline up one last time, and stick that thing in the side of his neck and go down and be under him, and both of you go.
Yeah.
It'd be cool. They'd write stories about it.
And you'd make the front page of the paper.
I don't know if I would or not.
You might be on the 6 o'clock news.
Yeah. Moron old man found under dead bear.
Baby. Oh gosh, baby. Well, as tired as I am, I guess it's about time to go cook supper.
Well, we haven't.
I have no clue. What do you want? Have you got any ideas?
Do something easy and quick.
Yeah. Have to go open the cabinet and see, or open the refrigerator. I wish we had leftovers, but I fed those to Matt for his dinner.
Boy, that was good too.
He
My
had some
goodness.
deer tenderloin. I had peanut butter and jelly. Mine was good too, though. But Matt had the deer tenderloin, some bread, homemade bread Katie made with butter and garlic. Some orange little tangerine,
Cheese.
some cheese, and some cookies.
Can't beat that.
So he ate pretty good. I was feeling bad for him. He's getting weak down there. He's about to get the weak trembles.
I'm getting pretty tired down there, but it's because I didn't eat enough before starting.
Yeah, Matt said, eat. If you don't eat enough, what did you eat?
Breakfast?
Yeah.
I had a peanut butter sandwich.
Yeah,
And
so
a cup of coffee.
eat that, and then it gives that you give out. I mean, it leaves you, you're starving to death, but then if you eat a big breakfast, you want to go to bed.
Right.
So
There's a fine line
Yeah.
there, and I generally can't find it.
I ate oatmeal, and that holds me pretty good. I ate some oatmeal, but I was getting hungry too, though, so my peanut butter and jelly was good.
I ate the peanut butter sandwich. I toasted the bread and got it hot, put the peanut butter on it, and it kind of melts. That's pretty good. I eat that quite a bit at breakfast when I want something quick and I can go out the door and get to doing something.
You really love peanut butter.
I sure do.
I don't like it as much unless I've got it with jelly or maybe honey or something. Marshmallow cream. Have you ever had that?
Yeah.
My friend used to do that. She introduced me to that. Marshmallow cream and
I like honey and
butter.
peanut butter together. That's really, really good.
Yeah, that's all right. Honey and, I mean not honey, peanut butter and apple butter is pretty good.
Is it?
Yeah. Which that's kind of like jelly, kind of about the same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I guess I'll go in and figure out something for us. We hope you enjoyed coming along with us today for our long day of gardening.
And I really hope everybody enjoys the me hopping behind the tiller because the people here sure did.
Yeah. Oh goodness, it was funny. I'm just tickled that I was laughing a little bit at you, but I'm mostly just happy that we used it, that you made it work. So,
Yeah.
first two rows were kind of, but then you really got a hold of it, and the second two rows was good.
I think it had a hold of me.
Yeah, I think it had a hold of you too. I think so. If I could have got that, clipped that out, that could have been my thumbnail. Maybe I can try to do that if I could have got a picture of it. Yeah, jerking Matt. If only Matt's feet had been like up in the air. That would be fun.
It was close to being that way.
That was funny. We're always glad when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia.